Right, darlings. Shall we
Why
get
do
on
you
to
keep
today's
calling us darlings?
Well, for a very good reason, Linda, because apparently Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is using more British phrases since marrying Prince Harry 2 years ago, including saying "oh darling" to people at home. Well, now, Janet, would you mind me calling you darling?
I most certainly would.
Oh.
I like the way
Awkward.
we've assumed that the word darling is English and British and not American, because I seem to remember loads of old movies where stars like Bing Crosby and Ginger Rogers and Freddie Stewart, they called each other darling, didn't they?
I don't find it a derogatory term. Like when you get in a cab or a taxi or whatever, people go, all right, darling, where are you off to? Would you find that offensive?
Well, it's a bit over-familiar, but
Well,
then that's you in a nutshell,
They
isn't it,
don't know your
Linda?
name, do they? So instead of saying, where do you want to go, love? Where do you want to go, darling? I think it's
Well,
quite
let's
nice.
go to the voice of reason, shall we, Gloria?
Well, when you get to my age, if anybody calls you darling, it's absolutely marvellous. But it's very funny. I used to work behind the scenes in television before in front of. And there was a very English director, and he called everybody darling because he didn't know who anybody was in Northern Ireland. And his wife was sitting at the back of the control box one day, and he said, oh, darling, could you get me a cup of coffee? And the two of us jumped up and went to get the coffee. So sometimes it gets you in trouble.
Do you find it... It's weird with me. I don't find it offensive. You say it a lot, don't you?
I do say it a lot.
When you get in cabs, like you were saying. I only find it condescending if it's someone who's maybe 18 saying it to me. You know, if a young kid comes up and goes, you all right, darling? Or sweetie, and then I think, come on now.
I think it's all right because when you meet people, I mean, over the years, I've been in the business 52 years, you've worked with a lot of people, so people come up and go, hello, Linda, how are you? I go, oh, hello, love, how are you? What's your name? I've forgotten. And they say, Frank. I go, no, I know your first name. What's your second name? That is a really good way of getting out of it, isn't it?
That is genius. But, I mean, you do that every week when you arrive here.
I do.
I think you should know my name by now.
I know.
Well, apparently it was reported that some of the staff were mocking Meghan's accent for sounding British. Do you think it's OK for people to take the mick or copy somebody's accent?
Well, let's get one thing straight. Is she copying Harry's accent? Because it's very weird, because Harry went to Eton and presumably he learnt to speak in a very posh, received English way. And then when he left Eton and he wanted to be Prince of the People, he became more South London. So do you think, what accent do you think Meghan's actually got? Because I suspect she's got a kind of transatlantic
Yeah,
accent.
yeah. I find it quite offensive because I did a play once for television and it was like Shakespearean actors in it and they were upstairs and I was downstairs, and then when they spoke to me sometimes they'd do it with a Cockney accent and I found that quite offensive because...
Downstairs?
I was downstairs. I'm always downstairs. I'm never going to be upstairs, am I? And they used to like say to me, oh, could you go and get us a sandwich now? Because I was the maid in the thing. They actually thought I was a maid and I'd go, no, love, you go and get your own sandwich. You know, like, and he did it all the time, this certain actor. Every time he spoke to me, did it with a Cockney accent.
That is condescending.
Yeah, I've had people mimicking my accent to my face and they come up to me in a supermarket or something and go, my daughter does a really good you. And then some person is brought up and does me and it's not very funny at all.
And do you find it insulting, Linda, when people do that?
Well, it all depends on who it is. If it's friends and they're mucking about, it's not so bad. But when it's somebody that you're working with, I mean, I was trying to do a posh accent back to him, but it didn't work very well.
What about you, Gloria? Because obviously you've got the Northern Irish accent, although a very, very soft Northern Irish accent.
Mid-Ulster, I think. But, you know, you would know growing up in Ireland, you never really analyse your accent because that's just how you speak and that's how you grow up. We used to be intimidated in Northern Ireland by somebody who had a very posh English accent because in a weird way, at that time, they made you feel just ever so slightly inferior because of the way we spoke. However, when I came to Radio 2 in London in the early 80s, Terry Wogan had really broken the perceived English of BBC in terms of there were very few, if any, accents. So then there was Terry, so he sort of got away with it. Then there was also Henry Kelly and myself. We came in with accents. But it was quite funny because the first week I was there, I went to Bush House to do a World Service programme on Irish music. And a very posh producer afterwards said to me, do you always speak as quickly as that? And I went, do I speak as quickly as that? Because I didn't know. He said, it's just that this goes out in shortwave. And by the time it gets to Africa and India, they might not be able to make out what you're saying. So he told me off in a very posh accent, you know, but you know, you have to change words because in Northern Ireland, we would say now, like how now, brown cow. So I had to learn how to say now. So sometimes you do have to just to make tweaks in your accent, I think.
I don't think I can do now in the correct accent after all these years. I mean, at school I was told I had
Hey,
to have... Now, whatever.
Now, you're
But
right.
the thing is, I think as well, I find it if someone can do all different accents, I find that such a talent, because I'm terrible at accents.
But me and Pauline Quirk did a chat show, like for teenagers years ago, called You Must Be Joking and Pauline's People. And we'd do things about kidney dialysis machines, people getting kidney dialysis cards, and we'd have a pop group on every week. And somebody, quite a well-known person who is really Cockney, rang the studios.
Are you talking about a Cockney singer?
I am.
With
Arthur
short blonde hair
Sixpence.
now, probably silver, yeah.
Arthur Sixpence rang in to complain about our accents.
Really?
So Tommy still complained.
Didn't want his daughter speaking with an accent like ours.
I've had that said to me as well. When I've done speeches and people have come up to me, you know, after dinners or events, and they've said, well, you've done really well, Janet, but I wouldn't want my daughter speaking like you.
How rude.
But then,
Well, I think it's rude, but, you know.
but then you see the tweaks you have to make. Like in Northern Ireland, we would say idiot. And some people here might say, what is that? I don't know what idiot is. 88. So you do have to make little tweaks now and again to make yourself understood.
Well, I've compromised as much as I'm prepared to.
For you to compromise at all is a miracle.